Alright folks, it is day one of our video series on summer reading. And today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to emphasize the importance of summer reading. Why is it even really a big deal? I mean, our kids read all throughout the year, right? Why can't they just take 10 weeks off? My kid doesn't like to read, or we're going on vacations. It just seems like a lot to keep up with. Why are we going to do it? So I'm going to introduce something to you called the summer slide. And I'm going to tell you, it is not as fun as it sounds. The summer slide is a terrible thing for our children. The summer slide is an academic plunge over the summer that our kids can take. It happens to 100% of students who aren't academically involved over the summer in some form. On average, children lose a month of their general knowledge they've learned over the previous year, and teachers spend 4 to 6 weeks trying to review and catch them back up again to where they left off the previous year. In math and reading, it is actually a lot worse than just the month. In math, they tend to lose 2.6 months, and then in reading, they have a loss of 2 to 3 months. That's a lot. And this hits particularly lower income families because they have lower resources for maintaining a home library. They have lower resources for being able to get their children to a public library consistently. And then they also have lower resources on getting their children into summer programs that focus on that kind of thing regularly. And so what this winds up causing is a 9th grade achievement gap. There is this huge gap between low-income and middle-income students in 9th grade. And 2/3 of that has been attributed through studies to the fact that these children have no access to books over the summer. And it's not just, they don't have access to books, and then they lack encouragement to read. And here's what that does. No reading over the summer for 10 weeks. It gets a reading loss of 2 to 3 months, and then they struggle to catch up the next year. And in first grade, a lot of times they're probably able to catch up a bit because the loss isn't that great. But then the next year, the next summer, it's all cumulative. And so they've lost that 3 months prior, they've caught up a little bit, but then they lose another 3 months. They catch up a little bit, and then the next year they lose another 3 months. And so by the time they get to 9th grade, these kids have lost 2.5 to 3 years of reading as compared to other students who have had access to reading over the summer, and they've had adults and parents encouraging them to read over the summer. In fact, this is one of the big contributors to high school dropout. Once you get into that and then you're struggling to keep up so much, it really does take away from your desire to stay in school and finish up. And I don't want you guys to despair. I grew up in a low-income family for much of my young life. My mom was able to really, really work hard, and she has done very well for herself, but she was a single parent growing up. And so I can see, even among me and my siblings, how a lot of that worked out. I was a big reader as a kid. I just loved it. And so anytime that I could get my hands on a book, I would. But my brothers weren't really big readers. And so over the summer, they would much rather be outside and playing. And my mom, she worked. She had to work, and so I was at home babysitting, and I don't really care if my brothers read, just as long as they're leaving me alone at that point, right? And so it could be seen as they got older. I had a really high reading level because I did it all the time, especially over the summer because I needed things to do. But then my brothers, who preferred to be outside and moving and being physical, which is not in and of itself bad, but they had no interest in reading over the summer, and you could see how over the years they fell behind in their reading. And so I say all this to say, please don't despair. This is something that we can invest in simple ways in our children. And I want to make you aware of this so that you are able to do that. We don't just want to maintain a reading level even, but we can even increase our children's reading ability over the summer and increase their love for it. So tomorrow what we're going to talk about is 3 different types of readers, some of the struggles that they may have, and then also some ways that you can get them reading. All right? Thank you guys.